So Israel is in a very precarious predicament right now. Something happened. Something happened that Israel was not expecting. Besides Russia uh, increasing their takeover of the Middle East and using their proxies, Iran, parts of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, to do it. But with this nearly 500 missile attack on Israel, Hamas has a new weapon in their arsenal that people are not sure how it slipped under the radar without is the Israelis seemingly knowing about it. I will go to debka.com. They have an article: new Iranian rockets smuggled into Gaza could threaten IDF defenses, including the Iron Dome. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad was referring to a new artillery rocket from Iran when its Al-Quds wing claimed to have wrecked the Ashkelon on Tuesday, November 13th, with a new weapon. Neither the IDF spokesman nor any other Israeli official disclosed that at least one of the 470 rockets fired from Gaza into Israel in 48 hours had been supplied by Tehran to its Palestinian proxy with instructions to start using it. What do you think the reason is for that? They're testing it out. You see, they're using Islamic Jihad to test out their equipment so that when the time is right, Iran will come through the Golan Heights along with the Russians. Islamic Jihad did not name the weapon except to say that it had medium range. However, Debka file sources can identify it. Now, you're hearing it first, if you haven't read Debka file already, as Falak, that's FALAQ -2, with a range of 11 kilometers and 333 caliber, manufactured at the Shahid Bagheri Industries complex, which is a part of Iran's aerospace industries. It is designed to destroy defense systems such as artillery emplacements, Iron Dome batteries, armored force concentrations, whether over ground or in trenches, as well as combat engineering equipment and command centers. The Iranian rocket showed its destructive capabilities in Ashkelon, killing a Palestinian worker and injuring 2 women. On Thursday, General Mohammad Bagheri, Iran's chief of staff, gleefully praised the Palestinian victory in the Gaza Strip as turning over a new leaf for the resistance. Victories will continue until the Zionist entity is no more, he crowed. One of Falak 2's advantages is its mobility. It is not launched from stationary batteries, but from any combat 4x4 vehicle or jeep, each of which carries 2 rockets. The team activates stabilizers on either side of the vehicle before firing. Islamic Jihad secretly received the weapon from its Iranian masters 2 years ago, but was only ordered to use it in the latest Palestinian rocket offensive on Israel, thereby enabling Iran to target its first Israeli civilian population. The deployment of the Iranian Falak 2 in the Gaza Strip confronts Israel's security authorities with some hard questions. Number 1, how was it smuggled into the Palestinian enclave? Number 2, why didn't the IDF destroy the Falak 2 stores in Gaza as soon as they were delivered or later? Number 3, why didn't the IDF warn the people living on the Gaza border that their homes face this deadly threat? Number 4, why didn't the IDF knock out the teams launching it? Number 5, why does Israel refrain from hitting Iranian targets in the region in retaliation? Number 6, why Or is this why Avigdor Lieberman, after quitting as defense minister, warned local leaders on the Gaza border that within a year, the threat from Hamas and jihad would equal to that of Hezbollah? Now, I think I might have an answer. And this might be considered as extreme. It is my opinion now that at this time, the Hamas and Islamic Jihad are either equal to the threat from Hezbollah or very close. There is a clue. There is a clue as to why I think so. This is the clue that I'm looking at, why I believe this. It is written, I believe, on the Jerusalem Post. Now hopefully this article is still there. I try to get this done as soon as I can. It might be on either Times of Israel or Israel National News. Let's try Times of Israel. And they're changing their front page rapidly. Yep, they just changed their front page as soon as, let's see if I can remember what the headline was. I probably will find it on Debka file, quite frankly. I think so. Hopefully. Well, Hamas leader, the next rockets will hit Tel Aviv. Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar threatened Friday that the next Palestinian rocket barrage from the Gaza Strip will surprise Tel Aviv. That's a good distance. He brandished a sidearm captured from the Israeli covert unit, which operated in Gaza a week ago. Did the Israeli enemy think our blood can be bought with Qatari dollars and fuel? He asked. Sinwar spoke in Khan Younis at a memorial meeting for the 7 Hamas officers killed in the raid. It was also attended by General Ahmed Abd el Halk, head of the Palestinian desk in Egyptian intelligence, on whom the Israeli government relied for mediating the Gaza ceasefire last week. The article that I was looking for had this man's face on it, and it said something to the effect that that if Israel does this again, as they say, that they will force Israel, they will hit Tel Aviv and force Israel to release thousands of prisoners. What this does is it puts Hamas and Islamic Jihad on the offensive and Israel on the defensive. You see, this is what I'm trying to get at. And like I said, the article was right there in front of me. And just like that, it's gone. And you can Google also Iran's army chief praises Hamas victory. They have turned it into a victory for Hamas and a loss for Israel. They have made it look like that Hamas and Islamic Jihad are now on the offensive and Israel is on the defensive. Why are they so brave now? Why are they so cocky right now? Well, because Iran and Russia are nearby. And yes, as I said yesterday and the day before yesterday, Israel is surrounded. Israel is cornered. And I have said in previous videos, it is Israel has every right or to use nuclear weapons to defend its little tiny piece of real estate in the Middle East as any large country, be it United States, Russia, France, the UK. Israel has just as much right. And the other nations, if they have the right to use these weapons to protect themselves and consequences be damned, then so does Israel. Now, I want to go to a particular passage. Matthew 24, verse 22. Oh, wait a minute. Before I go to Matthew 24 and verse 22, let me do this real quick just to make sure that we know who the elect are. All right. Who among you is going to argue with our Father in heaven? Is there anybody? You're going to stand up and argue with them about who the elect are. You need to be careful. Isaiah 45 and verse 4. For the sake of Jacob, my servant, for my servant's sake, and Israel, my elect. I have even called you by your name. I have surnamed you, though you have not known me. So even though Israel has not known Jehovah, they are still his elect. Let me go to one more real quick, and then we'll go to the words of Paul to round it all up, and then we'll go back to Matthew 24. Just so there is no argument about who the elect are. Isaiah 65. And I will bring forth the seed of Jacob and of Judah, and they will inherit my mountains, and my elect shall inherit it, and my servants shall dwell there. Now, another Bible says, I will produce descendants from Jacob, and heirs to my mountains from Judah. My chosen ones, or elect, will possess it, and my servants will dwell there. New International Version, I will bring forth descendants of Jacob and of Judah. They will possess my mountains. My chosen people, my elect will inherit them. And there will my servants live. Okay? Just so everyone understands who are the elect. Now we'll go to Romans 11, and Paul backs it up. Verse 25. For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest, he's talking to the Romans, the Gentiles, lest you, Gentiles, should be wise in your own conceit, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. Wait a minute. Yes. And so all Israel shall be saved, for out of Zion shall come the deliverer, not out of Rome, not out of Salt Lake City, not out of Washington, D.C., not out of Russia. And he shall turn ungodliness from Jacob, for this is my covenant unto them. What is his part of the covenant? What is Jehovah's part of the covenant? Does anyone know? Have you read Jeremiah 31, verses 31 through 34? Have you read Hebrews 8, verses 8 through 12? If you haven't, then you don't know what the covenant is. Jehovah's portion of the covenant is he's going to take away their sins and remove them so he doesn't see them anymore. Okay? Now, concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sakes. But concerning the election, they are the beloved. Oh, they are the elect, are they not? For whose sake? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Why? Because the gifts and the calling of Jehovah are without repentance, cannot be changed. Okay, so who are the elect now? Everybody say it with me. Israel is Jehovah's elect. Those of you Gentiles who want to take part in that election, you must be grafted in to Israel. No, the church doesn't become the new Israel. That's not how it works. See, that's where the Gentiles got things backwards. Okay? Now that we have defined, no, now that we have seen the definition of the elect, let's now go back to Matthew 24. And verse 22. All right. Actually, we will start in verse 15. Now, it says, when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place. Now, there are actually two versions of this, because this, when you shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet was talking about Antiochus the madman. Okay. But there comes another one like Antiochus the madman. Okay. His name was Caligula, or his real name, Gaius. He ordered all the synagogues, including the temple, to have his graven image as Jupiter or Zeus to be placed in every synagogue, including the temple. They even had the temple prepared with all the idolatry crap in there. Yes, Caligula did it. And when you read this, the way it's written here, stand in the holy place, then let them that be in Judea flee into the mountains. When did Caligula order the abomination into the temple? Let's go find out. It was around, what was it, 41 AD. Okay. How many years does it take to get to 67 AD? So the warning came when the order was made to place the statue, the idol, the image of Jupiter or Zeus in the holy place. Now, however, let's keep our place here and let's go to Luke 21 and see what it says. Luke 21 has a different has different writing. It means a little different. And verse 20, and when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then you know its desolation is nigh. And then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains. Okay, so the first thing that happens is they bring the abomination of desolation into the holy place, as I have proven. It was ordered twice, and the second time, in some places, it's written that they indeed succeeded, which caused the great rebellion that led to the destruction of Jerusalem. You see. All right. And it says, them that which in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them there in the midst depart. When did that happen? 67 AD. I know that Christians today reject that entirely. They claim a huge portion of Jerusalem history does not exist, or they pretend that it does not exist because they want it to happen in the future. Well, it's not going to happen in the future because what the Messiah said in this particular passage proves it. Okay. Flee to the mountains unless that are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countryside enter back into Jerusalem. For these be the days of vengeance. Vengeance for what? Rejection of Messiah. That all things which are written might be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child and which give suck in those days. What days? 67 AD to 70 AD. In spite of what your preacher tells you. For there shall be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people, upon that generation. And it did happen. But it was not supposed to be on the next generation and next generation and next. It was not. And because the Gentiles, generation after generation after generation after, perpetrated hideous crimes against humanity, crimes against the Jews, everything that they had done is going to be done to the Gentiles. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword and led away into captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden of the Gentiles until what? The time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Let's look up the word fulfilled one time, folks. What just happened here? Oh. Fulfilled. The word fulfilled, I feel, fulfill, complete. The word is pleroo, 4137 Strong's Concordance. All right, to complete and to finish. All right, so I can use the word finish. So I'm going to use the word finish. All right, until the times of the Gentiles are finished. Oh, okay. What happens then? What happens when the time of the Gentiles are finished? Then shall the signs in the sun and the moon and the stars upon there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and distress upon the Gentiles, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's heart failing for them, for fear, for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, and for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Meteorites falling on the earth, earthquakes like you wouldn't believe, and volcanic activity that will darken the earth. And then they shall see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with great glory. And when you shall see these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws near. Who's he speaking to? He's speaking to Israel. Now, let's go back to Matthew 24 again. Let's make sure we get the particular passage that I was looking for. Um, all right. It says, but pray that your flight be not in the winter, verse 20, neither on the Sabbath day, for there shall be great tribulation. It's the same thing we just talked about. That great tribulation was in 67 AD, 3.5 years. The Jerusalem was destroyed after 3.5 years in the fall of 70 AD. Such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days be shortened. Now, the word short, and it says there should be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake, what? Uh-oh, for the elect's sake. Who did we say are the elect? Israel. For Israel's sake, those days shall be shortened. What do you mean shortened? Let's look up the word shortened, shall we? And we will find the word in there that better and that more clearly shades the meaning of the word correctly here. So we'll go to Strong's Concordance. Shortened. Kolobu. Or Koloboo. 2856 in Strong's Concordance. What does it mean? To curtail. That's a little bit different, isn't it? You know what the meaning of the word curtail is. It just means to stop it, end it. That's what curtail. There it is right there. Curtail, definition. Just stop it. When are those days curtailed? When the time of the Gentiles comes to an end. When does the time of the Gentiles come to an end? After the 77s of Daniel 9 have been completed. When will the 77s of Daniel 9 be completed? I've gone over this how many times before? 62 sevens was from the time that Nehemiah the prophet went to Artaxerxes. Well, actually, yes, back to Artaxerxes and proclaimed to Artaxerxes that the street and the wall was finished. It was exactly 434 BCE And if you go and read Daniel 9, you will see that that's exactly the marker that's in Daniel 9. Let's go there just if there are any new listeners out there, let's make sure that we go over everything so there is no doubt. Daniel 9. Verse 24. 70 weeks are determined upon your people and upon the holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins. That's when the time of the Gentiles also comes to an end. Because during the time that the end of sins is not on Israel and Jerusalem, during that time is when the Gentiles have their opportunity. To make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and the prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place the way the most holy place was anointed. I believe it was in 1 Kings 8 with the cloud of smoky mist, like was just seen at the holy place in Israel a couple of months ago on the same festival as in 1 Kings 8. And know and therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince. Okay, it says from the going forth. To issue, to export, source, spring, word, to restore, to build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince. Wait a minute. Messiah the Prince or Messiah the suffering servant? You know, watch this. Watch this, y'all. Let's see if I can find it. John 18:36. Yehoshua, not Jesus or Jesus, answered who? My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now my kingdom is not from here or from now. So at that point in time, he was not Messiah the Prince. You see, so he was the suffering servant. He had to be the servant first before he could be the prince. Now, so the 7 sevens or 49 years is from the call to rebuild Jerusalem until the time, the Messianic era. That's what that means. So that's the last portion. The 62 sevens is from the time that says the street and the wall to be built, and the wall in troublous times. And from that point, 62 is what? 434 years. 62 times 7 is 434. So this is from that point of the street and the wall was built. Nehemiah in 434 BCE goes back to Persia to King Artaxerxes and announces to him that the street and the wall in Jerusalem has been built. From that time, 434 years until Messiah was cut off, exactly. And the 1 week that all the preachers are lying about began in the early 67 AD. As Titus, the Roman general, and his legions agreed for 7 years to besiege the city.